We have got something really important to talk about in this video today. So many people have reached out to me since I started this YouTube channel and have shared with me their fears and doubts around telling their story. And one thing that has come up so much is the feeling that your story isn't good enough. Your story isn't traumatic enough. You haven't struggled as much as so-and-so down the street or so-and-so on Instagram. That feeling that your story is not worth sharing is something that I am completely not here for. Your story is worth sharing. Your story should be heard if you want to tell it. And in this video, this is exactly what we are going to talk about. So when it comes to telling your story, I know that fear will come up, anxiety, doubt will come up. And if you are somebody who wants to tell your story, but you are worried about doing it, you are anxious about doing it, I highly recommend having a look at this video, which I have pinned to the top of the screen, where I give you some tips as to how you can start to work through that fear and become super confident in telling your story. In this video, I want to show you what storytelling is and what storytelling isn't. So let's get started with what storytelling actually is. Storytelling in a nutshell is about you sharing an experience that you have been through, sharing a lesson that you have learned over the course of your life. And it's really about telling it in such a way that those that are listening to you, you are able to take them on that journey with you. You're able to connect with them in such a way that they feel they are part of your journey. They were there with you, they are there with you. It's about telling your story to inspire and motivate other people. How many times have you watched a YouTube video or watched something on the TV or read a book and it's about somebody sharing their life journey? You might not have experienced or learnt the lessons that they have, but it doesn't stop you from being inspired by what they have been through. And that's what storytelling is about. And that is why it's something that I am focusing on, because I know the true impact that you can have through telling your story, your way, and in your words. So that's what storytelling is. Now let's talk about what storytelling isn't. There are so many perceptions out there as to what storytelling is. And a lot of them, quite frankly, are not true. There is not a clear-cut way that you should tell your story. I am a firm believer in freedom and flexibility and just letting things flow. And when you're talking about your life and your journey and sharing it in a way to inspire other people, you do it in a way that feels good for you. I am here to help you feel empowered and confident enough to do that, to articulate your message, to physically get your story out there, get it heard. But I would never tell you exactly what you should and shouldn't say, because do you know why? I wasn't there, and neither is anyone else. You are the only person that can physically share your story in a way that you are meant to. So one of the other perceptions that I hear a lot around storytelling is the more traumatic the story, the better. And it's really not the case. The reason that I say this is because we all have a story. We all have a journey. And when we start to share that, you will be able to impact the people that you are meant to. Over the course of this channel, I am going to be getting really raw and vulnerable with you when I'm sharing about my story and what has happened to me that has enabled me to become the person that I am today. That is what this channel is going to be about. So if you have not already subscribed, I highly recommend doing that, because it's going to get pretty interesting and you are really going to see what I'm talking about, the true impact that you can have on people through your story. Again, storytelling isn't about you feeling like you have to have experienced something that someone else has. It's not about that. It's about inspiring people. So that's the first thing. Storytelling is not a competition. You don't get points, you don't get brownie points for going through the worst situation ever. I know so many people that would say their story is something really positive. really positive. It wasn't a hard time they went through. And that, once it's shared, is going to inspire so many people. When you share your story, if you have been through something that you would say was quite traumatic, quite hard to deal with at the time, if you decide to share that, you would inspire people too. We'll all inspire different people with our own different stories, because people relate to people's stories differently. Something that resonates with me might not resonate with you, and vice versa. So storytelling is not about having the most traumatic story in order for it to be heard. It's not about that. It's about sharing your story in the way that it's meant to. Following on from that last point, this is quite similar, but it's done in a different way. If you feel like your story needs to be exaggerated or exaggerate what you have been through, then that is not the right story to share. That is not the right mindset to have. Going on from what I just said, different people will relate to different stories. You don't have to exaggerate anything. So many people I know have said, Jenny, I just don't feel like my story is worth sharing. And that honestly breaks my heart, because somebody out there needs to hear your story. Somebody out there needs to hear my story. Somebody out there needs to hear so-and-so down the street story. And they're all completely different. We're all completely different people. I don't need to exaggerate what I've been through to compete with you. You don't need to do that with me either. This is not about competing. Remember, the whole idea of sharing your story is to inspire and motivate other people. If you feel like you need to exaggerate your story in order for it to be heard, then I highly recommend taking a step back, connecting to yourself, connecting with your story, and really remembering why you wanted to share it in the first place. And exaggerating and pretending is not the way to go. So they are just a few points that I really wanted to share with you. It was a really informal chat with you today, and I really hope that it gives you that motivation and that new perspective that I believe we all need sometimes when you think about storytelling and sharing what you have been through, sharing your story with the world. This whole idea of storytelling is about making a positive impact. It's not about competing. It's not, and it should not feel like that's the way that it needs to be. You have a story worth sharing. Somebody right now needs to hear your story the way that you are going to tell it. I will be sharing my true story with you over the course of this channel. So if you've not already subscribed, I highly recommend clicking on that subscribe button, because I really want you to be able to see the true impact that you can have by just speaking your truth, sharing your journey. And I can't wait to take you along this journey with me. How do you feel about sharing your story right now? How does that feel for you? And if there is anything that you would like me to cover to really help you step into that power of your stories, bring out that inner confidence that you already have, then let me know, and I will make sure that I create some content around that for you. But for now, I will love you and leave you and say thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you have enjoyed it. If you have, then please feel free to share this with anyone that you know this would benefit. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.